Hey everyone, and welcome back to Roots and Wings, a podcast dedicated to SMB business owners and high level executives, where we answer and address those questions that make you go, all about sales and marketing. Just to introduce myself, I'm David Solomon, and I'm a fractional chief revenue officer.
I'm Jennifer He. I'm a fractional chief marketing officer.
This podcast is always dedicated to addressing those things that we're all about scaling, we're all about growth, and we love to raise the flag when we find a topic that will hurt your growth opportunities, that will prevent you from hitting those sales numbers, that hurt your reputation, that where your communication is bad, and so on and so forth. And today, Jennifer and I are going to talk about personal experiences where salespeople look at numbers and not at the quality of what they're trying to do. Now, I'm being a little bit, evasive on this one because I'll tell you what we don't tell you what the problem is, folks. We hire salespeople and we tell them it's a numbers game. If you call 100 people a day and you make 10 appointments, you should get one sale. It's all about numbers. Call more, blitz more, email more, harass more. But if you're one of those people who got a phone call and you looked at your phone and said, probably spam, and you answered that call, and that person just boom right into their sales pitch and then harassed you again and again, those numbers are terrible. That's not helpful. It might fit your CRM, but the damage is incredible. Jennifer, I you had this week in one of those type of scenarios. Share with us what happened. What happened to you that got you so riled up this week?
Okay, so today's topic is it's about numbers until it isn't. So, I personally wouldn't label that experience as harassment, but it's annoying. Let me put it that way. So, yeah, let me share this experience with you. Um, Somebody reached out, an insurance broker on LinkedIn. The first message is fine. I thought, oh, okay, so I'm about helping people. So I accepted that invitation as a friend request connection. People have experience on LinkedIn know, like you just accept, you're connected, linked to that person. Then she started sending me messages about, her program. And after two or three, and I responded because I wanted to be a good, relationship person. And I have a lot of empathy towards entrepreneurs, or in this case, I assume she is a solopreneur, right? An insurance salesperson. So I responded saying, I have investment advisors, wealth advisors. They do insurance as well and covering this kind of services. So basically, I've got help and I'm not considering this. And thank you very much. Um, then things got interesting. She kept sending me similar messages. Of course, I did not respond until yesterday. She sent me a message saying, "This is my last message to you." The tone, I don't think she meant it, but on the receiver end, it's a bit threatening. This is my message to you, like last message to you. Um, so that this is the experience, that triggered me to talk about, it is a numbers game until it isn't, because she did not spend the time to know a little bit more about who I am, right? It's on LinkedIn. My whole professional profile is there. And she can easily see that I worked for wealth management for years. And insurance business is part of wealth management. You would think, I know insurance, right? So you never mention that. And to me, I'm just a number in your client relationship management. You
Mhm.
know, it's just that in that technical system, and it, you know, it just, people feel bad if you, they feel like they're just, you know, one of your sales funnels. They don't feel seen, understood, right? You don't even spend the time. So that's one experience. I'm gonna talk about another experience my friend, you know, went through. Yeah, let's talk about that. So when it is not about the numbers.
Before we get into that, Jennifer, I'm gonna share a story because what you said was so bang on with the numbers. So I was in the web development business, so we built websites, and I loved getting emails from people going, "Hey, by the way, we checked out your website. We can help you build a better website. Did you guys really read what we do?" Or you just like blitzed and sent, you went into this. There's a database service called Zoom Info, people. You can get all these names and phone numbers and email addresses, and you can blitz to your heart's content and blah blah blah. And even though there's can spam in Canada and you can't really do that, but like you can phone people and, hey, guess you didn't read my website. And it's funny because
Because you are a competitor.
yeah, and this week I got two solicitations from LinkedIn. Hey, we saw what your company does. Zero growth. We love what you do. It's amazing. We can help you grow your business. We can help you grow. And I'm thinking, did you people read what I do? That's what I do for a living. So why are you trying to do what I'm trying to do? And you didn't. And so you're right. The numbers game is incredible. But I'll take it a step further. And I'll give you this situation where the same company, one of these companies, I'm not going to name them because you do what you want, people. They sent me two emails. They called me. They sent me another email, and I get it's 12 to 15 touches before you can get to it. And I respect that. Do that. Go. Okay. But then I answered the call by accident. And I said, look, guys, cease and desist. Like, you got to stop. I am not interested in your service. Period. I'm not getting into it. Stop calling me. Stop emailing me. Sure enough, next week, another email, another call. And I said, if you send me one more email, I will report you to, we have laws in Canada. You cannot do this. I told you to stop. You must stop. Finally, they stopped. You think I would recommend this company to anybody? I, Jennifer, a little self promotion here. I made a video about, if you imagine, if you go to a prospect who says no to you, but then gives you a referral to go to somebody else who would use your product or service. I mean, that's shocking.
Yes.
This guy lost me. There was no chance I would recommend this person. And that is really the red flag that I see, is like, if you're going to be repetitive to the point of not paying attention, you said you're not harassing, but it's almost harassment. Okay. Because I told you to stop. You told them to stop.
Yeah.
And then that
So
last one, which I'll talk about another
yeah,
time,
it's very mechanical
it's
and
very mechanical.
transactional in
But
nature, right?
absolutely. So, but Jennifer, talk to me. We talked about this off camera here. You had a whole other experience when people
Yeah.
just don't know when it's just
Yeah.
bad to try to upsell.
Yeah. Then before that, let's summarize, you know, when it isn't a time, when it is not about the numbers. Let's give some value to our audience, and also,
Okay.
hope you guys will give us input. Like, you know, we summarize three scenarios. It is not about the numbers anymore, and welcome any inputs and extra inputs so that, you know, we can all be better. So the first situation is, it's high ticket or high trust situation. So this is, you know, when it's not about the numbers. Then the second one is, you know, when the market is saturated with noise, don't add to it. The second situation. The third situation is when a customer's lifetime value matters. It's not about numbers. It's about connecting. It's about relationship. So yeah, let me talk about another experience. This is a friend of mine, who purchased a package from a medical spa on skincare treatment. So it's high ticket sales, right? $5,000,
Ooh.
10 times, like Pico laser, some kind of boosting
If anybody can explain
job.
that to me, I'd appreciate it because I don't know what any of that stuff was.
So 10 times $5,000. And she also purchased some products at, $150. And then the service hasn't been fulfilled yet. So she just purchased this program. Kudos for the med spa service provider. They, closed this deal. But the service is not fulfilled yet, right? She hasn't been through them all. Then the first time she went to the spa getting the first treatment, after the treatment, they pushed her another program at $3,000. So this left her feel a bit, not comfortable. Let's say that, because you haven't built that trust. Your customer, a high ticket customer. We don't call those people customer; they are client, right? So then the second time she went through another treatment, and they pushed her another program, different program at $3,000. So that's the second time. And think about the receiver end. In both cases, the service provider, they only think about themselves. Oh, because we have discount on that $3,000 program, and you must need it. Do you really understand your customer? And especially with your high profit margin industry, and you already sold somebody $5,000, and that somebody is not, say, Paris Hilton, sorry, who
Hilton in
might
Paris,
not,
it's fine. It's fine.
even with Paris Hilton, still it's some money, right? And yeah, this is, I would say, because that kind of treatment, and your clients, that med spa, they also offer facial kind of services. So I would think, that customer would be a lifetime customer if you retain her very well. So, this med spa, they fit with all those three situations. First is high trust, high ticket, right? Somebody trusts you with their skin, their face skin. And lifetime value is there. And the market is saturated with noise because it's high profit margin. Like, how many med spas are there? Can't imagine. But you did this. And it's not about numbers anymore.
No, not at all.
That's
And
the point.
this is something that I'm seeing a lot in places. The notion is we've captured the customer and suddenly, oh, they must be already excited. Let me go upsell them. It's the old notion of, would you like fries with that? Now, I know that McDonald's and the Happy Meal, well, not the Happy Meal, so like the trio, that was years ago. That was a really foreign concept. No one really upsold like that. We got it. But not everything is adding McDonald's fries to it. People, it's so dangerous that by trying to push the fries, you might push the customer away. And that's what this spa is going to do. Is it's you're going to be considered pushy. And again, that goes back to that reputation. And if you listen to previous podcasts, Jennifer is almost a religious zealot when it comes to reputation and brand. And you can, it takes almost a lifetime to build it and 1 second to destroy it. And here's a great way of doing it. If your sales team is over pushy, especially in high ticket items, even low ticket, but a high ticket especially, because you've commoditized, you've turned your thing into a pricing. Oh, it's a discount. No, 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 no. Now you've destroyed that
It's
relationship.
about relationship and trust.
Yeah, and now people are going to go, what is this? What's next? I had that here with my furnace. I ordered a furnace. I had to replace my furnaces. It was old, cost a lot of money. And I said to the person, is this it? Actually, it was in the quote. It was not, sorry, it wasn't the quote. It wasn't in the delivery. And I asked for three different quotes. And the one company said, here's the whole list of things. This is exactly what this is going to be. We're not going to ask you for something else. And then the other company said, well, if this happens, then, and if this happens, I said goodbye to company number two because I was going to be blindsided. Down the road, there were going to be all these extra charges. Oh, and oh, and oh, and oh. And you see this in a lot of areas where people are fed up of being blindsided because you don't know what's the next offer. Let me enjoy it. Let me relish it. Let me do with it. And it's really sad how that works. But I'll tell you, Jennifer, the theme here today is, when to stop being stop looking at your numbers as the key metric. Because if we take situation number one that you talked about, where you have that insurance broker pushing and wants an appointment with you, harassing, or I use that word again, but going after you again and again and using a sales technique of, well, I guess this is it's called the goodbye email. It's the last one. We're never going to do this. This is your last chance. What it means to me is if you got to that, you didn't do the beginning. You didn't do all the work at the beginning. And the beginning is gaining your interest, gaining your trust. And if the answer was no, the answer may, okay, try something else. But demanding a meeting and then using I guess this will be my last one. I guess you're really not interested. Yeah, da, 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 da. That destroys what you call the relationship.
Yeah, it's very passive aggressive,
Aggressive, yeah.
right? A better practice is leave it open. I'm here for you. You don't reply. Maybe it's not the right time. And this kind of a tone is
Absolutely.
much better rather than this is my last message. Goodbye.
You
Like
know,
you don't give yourself a chance,
you know,
and then leave the receiver and feel, whoa, that kind of a tone is very threatening.
I get it. And I tell everybody, and especially in when you're doing with insurance companies, and I say, people have accountants, lawyers, insurance brokers. To make a change, what has to happen? And so if this insurance broker just went in the traditional classic way of, I'm going to call you 400 or 500 times and I'll email you 600 times, you've gained no interest.
Mhm.
But if you were to find out if I have a pain point, if you were to educate me about something, if you were to tell me that there's something there that, oh, I never thought about, now I have an interest. But just saying, give me a meeting, and you're still thinking numbers, not thinking quality. Which leads us to the next part of our conversation is when, like, the focus on quality, especially in these areas. So, Jennifer, like, from your perspective, all right, what's your view on this? Leave the numbers alone, focus on quality.
Mhm. Um, focus on quality. I've summarized some best practices to share with the audience. The first one is earn the right to pitch, because you've got to give people that respect. Can I share something with you, and personalize your message, your outreach. For instance, that insurance broker, just dig a little bit into my career and what I know. It's all open out there. You can see that I went to Rotman, which is well known for finance. So I have all those financial people around me, and also I worked for a big bank in the wealth management, business, and headquarter doing strategy and marketing. You would think I know, a thing or two about insurance, right? So don't pitch me on some generic message. And also, I'm a marketer, so I can tell, like, you camouflage your program as, I cannot remember the name, but I know the strategy and the tactics behind it. So
Hmm.
do some homework, and approach people differently. But again, like as we said, when is it not about numbers? Three situations, right? High ticket, high trust businesses, and when there is too much noise, and also customers' lifetime value. If those things fit, it's no longer about the numbers. Commodity businesses, other businesses, and mass market businesses might be different. I just want to be clear about the context, what we're talking about.
But even in mass market, people are overwhelmed, and you're not. I think what you said was like when you said earn the right to pitch, and in reality, that's it. We haven't earned it. As salespeople, I cannot tell you, as people who are, whether I'm solopreneur or I'm a salesperson, what have I done? Let's just go through it. When I contact you, I've disrupted your day.
Mhm.
You weren't expecting it. You didn't ask for it. And now I've just called you in an unplanned manner and I've just disrupted. How did I earn anything? What have I done? How did I gain interest?
Mhm.
You know, personalize that with intention. I got to tell you, let's talk about the word personalized. You said it. I loved what you just said. You're a Rotman alumni. I'm a McGill alumni. Let's leave it at that. And when you talk about personalization, it's take the time and look at who you're talking to. Am I talking to somebody with, with an MBA, or am I talking to someone who, is a blue collar worker? If you treat everybody the same, you haven't personalized it. But the other thing is catching their attention. And I shout out to a guy named Dale Dupree, he's a master at catching people's attention. Another one is Stu Heineke. Now I met Stu last week. He is a remarkable individual, and he said what I used to do to catch CEOs' attention was to draw cartoons. Get this, cartoons, personalized cartoons to get their attention. It worked. It worked like remarkably. He wrote a book about it, and now he's doing these crazy FedEx packages with envelopes on it, which shows the inside. It's just to create that personalization. So it shows that I made an effort. That it's not some mass attack, and it's amazing who he's got to reach with, and so he earned that right because he took the time in that area. And it's remarkable to see how that works. And by the way, Dale Dupree check them out. Check them both out on LinkedIn. By the way, folks, they're both fantastic and are happy to share their ideas online. But also, when you're doing this, what are you trying to do? Establish a relationship. You said it, Jennifer. This is about relationship building. And if you start wrong, you have no chance to continue.
And when we say established relationship, I understand it's a big word, and what we mean is you need to let your prospect and clients feel seen, heard,
Yeah.
understood.
Yeah.
So that's the relationship building, right?
I
So do not, like, yeah, when you haven't, like, satisfied or fulfilled your service, do not upsell. So that's another tip.
Oh, and to your point, talk about the relationship. So I met someone about a month ago. She's phenomenal. I'm not going to get into the service that she's in right now because I'm not pushing product or anything. I have no problem with the influencers. I'm just not going to push the product, the service that she offered. And when we talked about it, I said to her, "Listen, I don't know anybody who needs your service right now, and I don't need it right now. But let's stay in touch."
Mhm.
And then she called me on a complete asking me a question, to help her. And that was no problem. And we built up a relationship. Well, wouldn't you know, this week I called her in a panic saying, now I need it. I need it now. It was just an emergency situation. It's an outlier situation. And she said to me, you know, I wish there were more clients like you that were, understanding that all I did was say, I'm here. And when you're ready, contact me. It wasn't the other way around. And
Mhm.
that's how our relationship started because I've been harassed by people like what she offers. She let me manage the relationship. She managed, let me manage the timing but she gained my interest and my trust. And if you think she tried to upsell me, oh, hell no.
Mm.
In fact, we even talked about that. She said,
Yeah, it becomes
I am not, until we've proved, this was her words, until we've proven our worth, I'm not going to talk to you about anything else. If you have inquiries, call me. But until we've proven we can produce, we're not going to look at more or less or whatever. I found it amazing. So Jennifer, that's just,
kudos for her.
that's kudos. No, I'm like, I love it. And to me, folks, and I think the last point about the quality, and I liked what your statement. Don't close that file too early. Like, don't shut the door. If Jennifer is a valued person for you to connect with, don't threaten me with my last message or this is my goodbye email.
My friends who know me are always like, you are the always favorite clients or favorite customer to anybody else.
I get that too. When I work with people, they're like,
Yeah,
wow,
don't close on me. You haven't closed me, but you close yourself.
right. What people don't know about me is when I take a lot of time, I research, I want to understand, I want to make sure I'm dealing with the right people. And then my decisions are fast.
Mm,
And people love that.
yeah.
But you have to build that relationship with me. And maybe the timing's wrong.
Mm,
Or even worse, I may not need you, but I know 20 people who will need you.
mhm,
And if you close that file too early on me, wow, look what you lost.
mhm,
If the customer is, pardon me, of real value, what are you shutting the door down for? Keep the relationship going. Find a way to maintain contact. Maybe Jennifer's not ready today for insurance. Maybe. But if you've connected with her on LinkedIn and you posted some good content on LinkedIn, you've put a video, you may have put a carousel, you may have put something, one day the
That
light
is
bulb might
earning
go
earning
off.
your right to pitch.
That's when you're in the right to pitch. That's when I'm calling you warm and ready. And that's what you want from the prospects. This cold outreach, especially, I tell people, do you know how long it takes you to, what your sales cycle length is? And we've talked about this on a different podcast. And a lot of these people, because the pressure of numbers, they want to defy their sales cycle
Mhm,
because the numbers are more important.
mhm,
And at the end, they get hurt.
mhm.
So, Jennifer, let's close this up for our viewers for today.
Yeah.
Closing thoughts.
Closing thoughts. I actually prepare for today's, every episode I prepare for. So let me see what I miss.
You didn't miss anything. You got it. Nailed it.
So the numbers do matter, but only when they're attached to real people, real needs, and real care. So you need to be genuine. And yeah, it is a world flooded with messages. It's not about how many you send, it's about how well you connect. So that's another one. And let's shift from transactional to relational. Those are my final thoughts. How about yours?
Well, I'm going to tell you, I love what you just said because the numbers do matter. And as a salesperson, I do matter because I have quotas, I have expectations. Some people's compensation packages are dependent on it. If you're a solopreneur, your sales are your income. You can't afford not to do that. But the reality is that you need to understand how to approach people in a way that makes sense. And when you said it, when you overwhelm people, it's not good. That's why I'm a power networker in what I do. And your insurance broker, with all due respect, nice to reach out on LinkedIn, but it's a personal game. It's a contact sport. And by you just leaving it to technology, now you're going to say, oh, but I can't reach you. Find a way to reach me.
Mhm,
Invite me to a webinar and catch my attention another way. Get there. It's how well you connect, how you pique my interest. Very, very important.
mhm,
Now, even commodity, I have a client in the commodity business, okay, and I don't like commodity businesses. But what I've worked with him is to turn his relationships with his customers into more of a relationship. And he's embraced this idea that let's be partners. I'm not selling you a product. I'm creating a partnership. because of what they do, even though he's in a commodity related area, and it's hard to create that relationship, but the trust, and he's not upselling. Okay, he is not upselling. We showed the product line, just so you know, we showed the product line, the opportunities, and say, so now what can we do for you?
Mhm.
And that's the difference. He
Yeah.
would love to sell more, but he
It's
hasn't
fine
earned
to
that yet.
upsell or to sell. It's just you need to pace and stage it
Pace,
right.
100%. So, ladies and gentlemen, that brings us to an end to another episode of Roots and Wings. If you haven't listened to previous podcasts, please do. At the bottom, there's the link to our channel. Please subscribe. We're out every 2 weeks with another informative piece, another informative podcast. We're really appreciating the feedback we're getting from people and the likes, the comments that we're getting on the various social channels. If you haven't subscribed to Jennifer's blog, please do. She has got phenomenal content for you, folks. And if you haven't
Yeah.
connected with me on LinkedIn, I welcome you to do so. Let's have a chat. Love to do so. And until next time, ladies and gentlemen, have yourself a wonderful day. And remember, your reputation is key. Have a wonderful day.
Have a wonderful day. Thank you.